Before we begin this episode, we wanted to let you know that the sensitive topic of abortion is discussed. Please make sure to take care of yourself while listening.
Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
You wanna win it, nah, hey yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey yo, nah, hey yo, nah, hey yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey yo. You wanna win, nah, hey yo. Porque te quiero tanto, porque te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. Porque te quiero tanto, ah, hey ya, nah, hey yo. Because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much. Because I love you so much, ah, hey ya, nah, hey me yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey yo, nah, hey yo, nah, hey yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey yo. You wanna win, nah, hey me yo. Porque te quiero tanto, porque te quiero tanto, 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 porque te quiero tanto, ah, hey, Anna, hey, me, yo, because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much, because I love you so much, ah, hey, Anna, hey, me, yo, you wanna win it, nah, hey, you. You wanna win it, nah, hey, yo, nah, hey, yo, nah, hey, yo. You wanna win it, nah, hey, yo. You wanna win, nah, hey, yo.
Well, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Healing Generations. And we just want to thank you for joining us today, for deciding to spend this time with us. Wherever you're at, across these oceans, across this land, we welcome you today. And you're not here accidentally. You're here because you're supposed to be here today. And I know that you're going to be blessed with the conversation that we're going to be having, and we're just going to have a wonderful time. And this is a podcast that is hosted by the National Comadres Network. And myself and Maestra Susie have the privilege of being able to sit and to have conversations with amazing, amazing women. And today is no exception. And I know that you will leave better today than when you started. Comadre, how are you doing?
Oh, wonderful, comadre. I'm just really feeling so excited for our guest today, and just feeling good with that Tata Sol up there, Donatiu. I love the sunshine, and we had a couple of cloudy days there in a row, so to see that sunshine come back like the sunshine always does, even though it stays under the covers longer on some days. It likes to sleep in sometimes. But today just woke up with that beautiful sunshine streaming through the window and just giving thanks for another precious day of life, feeling so blessed. And just acknowledging all the plant medicine this morning. Went out to my yard and my beautiful avocado tree once again, La Romero, all that medicina that Creator has blessed us with, and just really giving thanks and connecting this morning. So I feel great. It's a beautiful day, and excited for our guest today as well.
Yes, it's that beautiful time. I know I have the tomates are just so beautiful. They're all red, saying pick me. And I have some lemon cucumbers I was able to eat that are so fresh. Oh, the gifts of our Mother Earth, right? And What a blessing that we get to partake with that, And I know I really enjoy this time of the year of, where we get to sow the seeds and to watch that whole process that brings them all the way to the time of harvest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what we put into something, that's what you get out of something. And that's no different than life, right? And so we invest in our own lives, in the beauty of life, right? In the gifts of life. And we also get to partake in those things as well. And I'm very excited today because we have a guest with us that is she's just a medicine woman, if we could just say that, right?
Absolutely.
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 She has so many gifts, but one of those gifts among many is that connection to our Mother Earth and to the gifts that she offers up and how to take care of them and how to also use them to bless others,
Yes.
And that's our reciprocity, right? The law that nature teaches us, that we don't only take, but when you take, you give. And when you give, you receive. And so I'm really excited with our guest today. So, comadres, let's introduce and let's get this show on the road and let's have a wonderful conversation today.
Yes. She's so much to all of us in so many realms, just Creator spent a little bit more time on her. And aren't we so fortunate for that? So fortunate.
Yes.
She is Maestra Reyna Toledo. She is our comadre, our hermana, our beautiful sister, born in Guanajuato, Mexico, Rancho de Cerro. Comes from a family of 10. And at the age of 7, her familia immigrated to Watsonville, California. And since then, she has dedicated 20 years of service for teaching elementary age school children, as well as 10 years to the Soledad Unified High School District as an outreach advisor, supporting alternative education. She is a teacher of Danza Azteca, promoting cultural awareness and community uplifting through teaching indigenous Mexican practices. She assists many artists and muralists in local community murals. She is also theta healing therapist, birth and postpartum doula, but she has a wide range of healing modalities, and she brings with her and offers her polarity therapy, reflexology, Swedish cranial sacral massage therapy, and all the way to spinning babies. Her main focus has been to create safe spaces for healing through sacred traditional practices and ceremonias, through art, through danza, especially for women, children, and familias. Her highest desire is to give voice to the sacredness of motherhood and to welcome our new little ones, the next generation, to this earth. What a blessing! What a large order to fill. But you've been so dedicated and so generous with your medicina, maestra, and we are just so grateful and honored to have you here with us today. I'd like to pass you the palabra, and I'll give you some time to introduce yourself, your familia, and maybe even talk about and share a little bit about your familia, about the work that you do at this time, which you're connected to. But really, this is a plática. We're here as hermanas, as comadres. So whatever comes out of your spirit, your heart, I know we're all going to benefit from it. So we invite you to share. And we are very honored to have you here with us today.
Pues muchas gracias. Thank you, comadres, maestras, appreciating the Creator and the Mother Earth for bringing you into my existence. Appreciating the Compadres Network, the Comadres Network for their work, for their dedication to bring voice to our indigenous ways and our ways that our cultura has healed many of us and will continue to heal us for many, many, many hundreds of years forward. So I am delightedly happy to be in your presence as you hear my voice and you hear mi cuento, ¿verdad? My narrative. Who am I, Reyna Toledo. I greet you wherever it is that you're at. I greet the land that holds your vibration. I greet the smells and the waters that live inside you, the animals that may be companions to you. a lot of greetings to your extended relations. And with that, I want to introduce my mom, Juana Pantoja. She bare 10 children, gave us life and a lot of enthusiasm to get educated and follow the American dream. So she really advocated for us to have our papeles and come to the United States. So it took 8 children before we all immigrated to the United States. And through that process, I got to experience being in Mexico. So acknowledge my father, Reyna Toledo, that's in the stars now, that gave a lot of his livelihood to the fields of the Salinas, Watsonville valleys, lettuce worker all his life, dedicated to picking lettuce. He didn't really do anything else but that. So I appreciate his labor and his commitment to making sure we have some good lettuce in our plates. So I want to say that in the process of coming finally to the United States, I had the opportunity to grow up a little bit in the ranch where my people come from, Puruepecha relations, border of Guanajuato and Michoacan. And my people didn't have water, electricity when I was a child. So I got to witness a nation that was completely sovereign from any influence other than the church, of course, and some medical supports. But other than that, we were pretty much isolated and living and thriving with harmony. I treasure those memories because I believe they made me who I am. Early on, I remember witnessing the women carrying their big cántaros in their shoulders and harvesting water early in the morning before the sun rose and having the most beautiful conversations, laughing and healing and holding the sacredness of the water and the conversations that were infused in the water. As we now know that water holds memories and it holds vibration and it literally speaks to every cell in our bodies. So witnessing that, right? And witnessing the fire and fresh tortillas and the metates being utilized. There was no mills. There was no easy way out other than the original way, harvesting and creating what was there as a substance. And then, of course, once a week we had a chicken that we would enjoy and make a caldo. And that would, of course, feed us all. Some way, somehow, we had enough. And it fed us, and it fed us not just in the element of physical development, but also our souls, because we knew that there was something sacred about having flesh and that flesh being offered not daily, but only once a week, if we were lucky. And therefore, we enjoy that chicken, that pollito with the vegetables and the love that came from our relatives. So I wanted to share that because I believe that's mainly who I am. Truly, if I can say that before the trauma came, I was exposed to wisdom. I was exposed to sacredness. And I just want to acknowledge all of our ancestors that held that kind of way of life with sacredness, that held dignity, knowing that we're gente de la tierra, gente del maíz, gente del frijol, gente de tortillas con sal y chile. And that was all that we needed. And then, of course, we had other little things like a cow every so often or un poquito de puerco, la gallina, ¿verdad? So I just want to acknowledge that way of life in regards to the way we ate. And then I want to continue we immigrated, as Maestra said, when I was 7. And that was pretty immense. As you could all imagine, if you've been an immigrant of any country or location or where you have been exposed to being transplanted, right? Like we say, we transplant the roots from Mexico, from the tierra de allá acá, and how that experience is. Some of us are able to smoothly transplant very resiliently because we have all that soil ready to be prepared for us. Maybe we have the social economic and the correct language already, acquisition, all those things. Well, our transition wasn't like that. It was really traumatic. Big family, no place to live because nobody wanted to rent to us. And my father had some habits that we didn't really know about. So my father, living in a very racist, classist world, he navigated alcoholism and gambling and other habits that were very, very unhealthy as a big family to really witness. So therefore, it was really rough. And domestic violence to sexual abuse to, you name it, right? We some of us have those histories, and some of us have made something out of it. And I have to say that with all the dignity that I could possibly uphold, I am beyond thankful for the journey that I've experienced, because it was quite an experience to navigate and also to come alive from. So I just want to move on to like something very important that happened when I was 9, 10 years old. Went to school, regular day of school. And that day was not just a regular day because we had Aztec dancers come to our school. At that time, I didn't really know what that was. I didn't really know. I was just navigating school and living, right? Trying to survive. Pretty numb, though, I have to say. There was already a lot of trauma, of course, right? So horror, anxiety. There was a lot of deadness in me. There was nothing that really enthusiastically made me feel happy at 9, 10 years old. But that day, got to go to school, got to witness the Aztec dancers that I didn't know what they were, right? But I heard the drum. And that drum set that vibration, that tone, that reawakening of my soul. It brought me life like nothing else. If I had to say, I witnessed God, I have to say that's what I witnessed when I heard the drum. It woke me up and it made me decide to live again. And then I heard the speaker, Guillermo Aranda. I want to acknowledge him. He said, if you're Mexican, this belongs to your people. And I treasure those words because that gave me a sense of identity. That identity also brought and awakened the memories that I was starting to forget about my childhood, the sacredness. It reawakened the positivity of being Mexican, Mexicana. So therefore, I grew up some way, somehow, Creator put me in the space of being always proud of being Indigena, Mexicana, gave me that sense of orgullo, regardless of all the different choices that we make as students. We can be a little jockey or this way or that way. I always had this sense of being able to have dignity for a gente. By the grace of Creator and Mother Earth, always connected that way. And then life happened and I got to experience the sacredness of connecting to a sweat lodge at the age of 18. Another miracle. I'm sharing with you my miracles, right? We have these things in life that are literally sent by some form of divine intervention to bring us back ourselves, our essence. And hopefully we can have enough to sustain us to the next monumental event in our life. And that's kind of the chronological order that I want you to experience with me. I want you to know that in life we go on this journey, and the journey isn't necessarily the destination like we hear our elders, right? It's literally like, what is it that is bringing us in engagement and a sense of connection, a sense of satisfaction, and a ability to move from a milestone to another milestone of growth. And that's literally what I wanted to evoke with you. Wherever it is in your life that you are developing yourself as you're becoming, from the space of belonging, knowing that you belong to, whether it is a people's, or that you just know that generally you belong to this Mother Earth. That wherever it is that you're developing, that you know that you're becoming and you're developing and that you're growing into being who you are. So I navigated the first sweat lodge, and then I fell in love the father of my children. And then I had two beautiful children, and they brought the most immense expansion of love. But through that process, I also went through a lot of different choices. I didn't quite know how to be an adult, a young adult. So I had my son, and then I had an abortion that created literally a traumatic experience in my being. I didn't quite understand what that was going to be like, and I experienced being suicidal in a space of extreme darkness. And I just want to share that because that also literally has set the tone of what I do today. Honoring the sacredness of life and death, honoring those sacred rites of passage. So I went from the rites of passage of giving life to the rites of passage of creating the choice of death. And it literally brought that experience back to my being where I was numb and I didn't have hope. And just want to pause because I really had to pray to stay alive.
Mm.
And anybody that has ever experienced facing that type of tunnel, I just want to acknowledge you and also commend you for holding on. Commend you because there is always some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. And there's rainbows, and boy, there's more to live. So I suffered 6 months of a really difficult time, and then I got pregnant again. And my daughter came with a very resilient spirit. That spirit made it through the most difficult time because it was, again, a challenge to stay alive. And then finally, Creator sent the medicine Grandpa Peyote. I call him Grandpa because it just feels like a solid father to me, a sense of protective and gentleness. And also, it's our medicine from our people from the South. It came, we got invited, we went to our first ceremony, and it was the spring of that year of 97, and changed my life. I didn't even have medicine. I was just in the premises of the ceremony, and I never imagined that it would change my life instantly. So do I believe in instant healing? Do you believe in instant healing? Do you believe in miracles? I sure do. From like night to day, it changed my whole life, transformed. And my relationship with Mike, my companion at that time, my relationship with everything transformed. The joyful being that I am came back. The desire to live came back like multiplied. So I just want to acknowledge those that have faith and believe in something that they're asking for. I know that the Creator, the Mother Earth, will give it to you. Just hold on a little longer, especially in those times of desperation. So therefore, my children are grown now. I feel very grateful and thankful for their development. And the journey that we have had has been a quite beautiful journey. Not all smooth and fun, but nevertheless, we have had elders. I want to acknowledge some of the elders that have came in our lives. Mama, Roseanne, Rocky, Rodriguez, some of the masculine folks that have came as well. Some of them have passed, Crowbear Galindo, just others that they have came and supported my development through the danza way, through the peyote way of life, through the indigenous ways of life of the Red Road, from Sundance to ceremonies of danza to more ceremonies in the lodge. So that's been my journey of upbringing, and through the process of those years of development, of course, I've been supported to be in the presence of good people. They have given me a lot of wisdom and giving me a lot of instructions and believed in me. So that's kind of my introduction. I know it's a long one, but I just wanted to share that much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Reyna, for that introduction. And I think it's so important, right? We are people of stories,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and there's so much reasoning in why stories are so important to us. Because with your story right now, and it's just a little taste of it, but you have given the listeners a little glimpse into who it is that you are. And we can't ever underestimate that, right? Because at the end of the day, we really don't know which part of our story is going to be the essential part for someone that we cross paths with, and the impact of those words and that vibration that goes out. Our words are prayers, right? And so the importance of that. I was so grateful that you mentioned something that was very difficult. And the reason why I say that is that a lot of times in our conversations, it's hard for us to acknowledge difficult times in our life. But the truth of the matter is that we all go through difficult times. And I know when I hear something that's difficult that someone else has said and I've experienced, I go, oh my God, that's, I was so glad to hear that, because then I can connect and I can relate and I can feel, oh man, I'm not the only one. It's a sense of hope. And so I really appreciate you mentioning the very difficult time in your life. And the theme of abortion sometimes is one of those taboo conversations that we don't like to have. The reality is that many women, many of us have experienced that. And there's a residue that gets left behind that has been very difficult for Western thought to even voice, because the rhetoric is that no one gets hurt. So I thank you for mentioning that. And the reason why I bring this part out, and I want you to elaborate a little bit more on that, is because that is one of the gifts. It is a medicine that you practice today, which is being that doula that you are, that you're helping those that are bringing humankind to this dimension, the children that are being born. You're actively involved in that process. But those that have experienced abortion, we don't talk about the process of really wrestling, of really coming to terms so that we can go on and go forward with this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to ask you, if it's okay with you, to share a little bit more around this and how it really puts you in a position that the work you've done now, you do it with a sensitivity and a knowledge that not everyone has.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for weaving, tejiendo, ¿verdad? This part of the story of my life that I hold very dear, because it's been quite a master in my development, master teacher. And I spent 10 years of my life, it was a secret. Only Mike and I knew about the secret. And then finally, I began to read how much I was still very much the residue of grief and shame and the taboo, especially with our gente. We would not speak about, choosing, especially if it's not from a choice of like, there was no necessarily trauma. It was literally a choice of timing and development in the relationship. So I have definitely grieved and created a space for this being. I made a name for her. finally even placed her in the correct order of the family. And she's the second being in our family. There's three pregnancies, honoring the impact that my womb wants to be like seen for. It's not just two live human beings that I have created. I have created three essences. And therefore there's been some, like, from the psychological to the spiritual amendments, a reconciliation, and asking for the forgiveness of especially Kia, that held maybe more weight than she needed to in her own development, without really knowing the. I didn't understand the responsibility that I had when we are blessed, even with a child that comes for a week, a few months. It's an energy that comes, a vibration, and it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be put in its right place, right order of family. So I understand these things now. And so sometimes folks, in this now season of my life, they want to have more children, or they have made some choices from the past, and they're able to speak to me about how they can reconciliate and how they can fix things. And I'm able to support. So yes, Maestra, you're right on. There is a lot of knowledge that is not shared, and sometimes people don't know what to do, especially because maybe we're following semi like indigenous ways of life, and we're discovering our indigenous memories that hold a lot of sacredness and order. And we're remembering as we're going through life, and sometimes that information is not shared as fast as we need it, right? Or those books, those research method books, or the pláticas are not being had because we're in so many different locations as peoples. So I appreciate this plática. For those that are listening, for those that have lost, or by choice, or by the order of divineness, I hold your grief, and I hold your loss, and I also ask you that you begin to liberate yourself and liberate your womb from spaces of having had residue of this experience, being, energy, and that you're able to find closure. So what I did recently, I planted a rose bush in the Vision Quest location where my daughter is visioning in Colombia 2 years ago. So still very new. I wanted to plant the essence of this being in a sacred place so we can go visit and we can acknowledge her. I believe it was a female expression. And I know maybe this is not necessarily answering the directness of your question, but this is my process. And it's been a journey of 27 years almost to come to be very much in harmony and in joy, knowing that this all has created a lot of ánimo para ayudar, like you said, a lot of sensitivity and a lot of strength, because some mujeres grieve for a long, long time, and they sometimes grieve, and the womb carries the grief, and the next child holds grief that's not necessarily theirs. And that's kind of what my daughter carried. She carried a lot of grief from the womb that was the space that she lived in. So I also encourage those that are mothers, grandmas, that they can also put a blessing of liberation. And that way the generations are able to move with more ease and lightness instead of the heaviness. Because I sometimes think grieving is a sense of like a lot of, it carries a lot of vibration of weight, when we can have another vibration that creates a little bit more of lightness and openness and expansion. So it's a dance, but it's also a really important dance to recognize that we can not necessarily always be grieving, because that creates another element of mental health where our people are very much depressed and anxious. And I just want to acknowledge that a lot of it has to do from spaces of the womb. The womb, they say, is the second heart of femininity. And we acknowledge that space as extremely sacred, but we don't really understand it. And we don't know how to take care of our wombs. And it's important that we learn to bring warmth and love and care, massage, and good platicas and good energy to that center, because that's the vortex of our future generations. So all those that carry a womb, I send love and joy and tenderness. And also, I encourage you to find a way to even love yourself even more, especially in the womb space. Con las plantitas, con los aromas, con lo calientito, con los canelita, con el chocolatito, con todo lo que hace sentirse bonito y dulce.
Gracias, maestra. Wow. You know, I've always been inspired by you, but I continue to be even more inspired as I see you continue to evolve and do your work, do your personal work, do your own healing, so that you can be that clear vessel for Creator to use you to help heal all of us. So many, anyone that comes in your path, you're just always ready and so generous to give, and anything that you can to help bring that healing to all those that come into your path. I'm always inspired to see how you refuse to be a victim.
Mm.
You refuse to be a victim of any of your circumstances, and you've had many. And you just continue to rise from the ashes, gracias a Dios, and transform, always transforming your experiences into medicina to help others, even in this conversation right now. I'm sure there's so many mujeres out there that are just absorbing all of your palabras and your wisdom that you've been so generous to share from your own experience. I've also been so blessed to have had you heal me, hermana. In every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, with such unconditional love, puro amor.
Yeah.
Which is so needed, so needed. You know, it just, to me, it's the most powerful medicine on the planet. And you're just a perfect example of that. And you've been that for me. I've been also blessed to be able to work on mujeres, you know, on body work and mind abdominal massage, and just know how healing that has been for them and myself as well. You know, like being able to channel that energy is such a blessing. I'm wondering if maybe you can share some of maybe a certain experience of a bendición and a milagro with one of your mujeres or your mujercitas, anything that comes to mind, you know, just to reiterate and remind people, you know, of our sacred traditional ways and the healing power of música, be it through your songs, your canciones, be it through your body, your prayers in motion and la danza, be it through your powerful healing touch con mucho amor. What are those things? What experiences come to your mind, or just even for yourself or the mujeres that you work with? We'd be so blessed to hear those milagros of inspiration.
Thank you. Pues primeramente, acknowledging your tears, acknowledging your relief, and bearing witness to Creator being able to hold you as well in your tenderness. You know, bearing witness to the miracles the Creator has for us. Sometimes it's breathtaking, and I'm in awe how much love the universe has for us, how much love the Mother Earth has for us. You know, moments where I connect to the Mother Earth and I feel how much she lets us transmute, let go from the thoughts of negativity to the thoughts of, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow, to the big wishes that we have. And I was just imagining being in the space of her presence as a container, that we are sometimes containers as people that serve for all those people that are healers, for all those people that serve others. We're containers, we're spaces. And we hold and we absorb, we take in willingly because we're of service, genuinely to provide service for humanity to evolve. Because we evolved, we want the rest of us to evolve with ease, with more confidence, with more, like my auntie says, steadfastness, being steady, standing in our courage, all those virtues that, that we have developed in ourselves. I was just touched. So you asked me like what I want to share is I was just touched. I was listening to myself talk to Mother Earth, and she was replying like if we're having a conversation, They say sometimes we're just living in a prayer, and she's just telling me like all of it, all the abundance is ours. There's no scarcity. There's no limitations. And then I was just also connecting to Creator and asking Creator, like, how is it that you view us when we're like asking for all these things, right? Like we want this, we want that, like nonstop rhetoric, and if it's not that, we want more. And if it's, we want this miracle for the other person. And it's like the conversation is I'm listening, I'm only present, I'm like everywhere. And of course you have my attention. And of course you will receive what is supposed to be yours, because that's the order. We're going to receive what we already have earned in our development. And so the encouragement was like, just continue to be curious, because curiosity is a pathway of creating more imagination. So in the genuine space of me, what I encourage everybody is to continue to be genuinely curious, to wonder, just like when we were children, wonder what it would be like. How would it feel like to be in a great relationship with mutuality and care and honesty and all those things that we desire? Like actually imagine it, right? So there's a lot of, language around that in regards to the laws that the universe has and stuff like that. So that's what I wanted to share at that degree. But what I really also want to share, I got to witness the most profound home birth last week, where Father held the space as a protector. Sometimes fathers, they don't really like get the instructions or the download of like sacred rites of passage of fatherhood, because, again, a lot of information has been mixed with patriarchy and capitalism and racism and all the isms, right? And we forget about all the sacredness, the wisdom handed down in our DNA. It's in us. There's no denying it. We just need to say, bring it forth. I want to activate this in my memory. So this beautiful father kind of heard the message, like you can catch your baby. You can hold space for your baby. You can be the hands that pull that baby into the world. Who else but you can want to catch that baby and be the first one to imprint with your love, with your care, before anybody else? You have every right. And of course, we have the medical people and the midwife to like support that space, but you're the one that's the main one. So I got to witness that. He was on his knees holding that space for as long as Mama pushed, and he just held it. And then baby came out. He caught the baby because of home birth. A lot of things happen at home births that don't happen in hospitals. Just for curiosity, those that are curious, home births are beautiful. Women can have genuinely healthy babies at home. There's no fear other than meeting yourself in the most powerful moment of your life, meeting your husband in the most, precise element with no distractions and confusion around. It's so clear. And baby came out. Father grabbed the baby, called his name in, called that spirit name in for the first time, blessed him with genuine love. I say to you that you are a child of this earth. I bring you in, like with a full conviction of his full embodiment in this reality. Blew me away. Just what I dream every human being to have. Dignified, holy, sacred, intact. And then he's a boy, right? He's a young boy. Man just bursted out and cried, let out his whole experience, just as mom is letting out her whole experience, because as you know, we're people with sounds and music, and we're taught to, like minimize the voice here and, quiet down, or, this song doesn't really, like, all of it is beautiful. So I got to hear all kinds of music in that experience. The best birth so far. And like one of my uncles said, the best is yet to come. Uncle Teddy, may you rest in peace. Over there with Uncle Chewy and all the other uncles that have passed on. Those elements come in. Like, I really believe, not just for me, I believe that for all of us, the best is yet to come. If you haven't experienced the best yet, it's still coming.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. I agree with you. It would revolutionize this dimension if all of our births were in that way.
Absolutely.
Maestro Jerry always shares, that's the first lessons, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are a blessing. You are sacred. You're to be received in that way, to be embraced in that way. And I love that word, imprint. The imprint that happens there, that you are perfect just the way you are. Man, that would change. That would just revolutionize the generations to come.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Yes, something that really strikes me as somebody that works for mothers and fathers and children, who controls the womb, they say controls the world. And I personally want to say that the mothers, they control their womb. They have access to the mother cellular, mitochondria, nucleus, all that yumminess. They have access to that. And they have access to the memories and the connection to their children. And I want to reclaim it, in the space of you two beautiful human beings that I adore. I believe that we can begin with that, reclaiming that womb space as an expression, a vehicle that belongs to the woman.
Yes.
To hold and to choose how they want to birth without fear, without, confusion, without all those things that, are put in the place of our medias about birthing, all those things that are put down by stories of, this and that happened. Yes, it's a portal. It's a very delicate portal, but it's also very innate. It's so innate. It's feasible. It's possible. It's been done thousands and thousands of years before we had hospitals, before we had all these other ways that intervene and create different decision makings. So I just want to ask that some way, somehow, our Creator listens to this prayer, that we reclaim our womb spaces. La Matriz. Thank you, Mateo.
Que así sea. And let those that are listening grab onto those words. I tell you, every time we get into these spaces and the plática is just so good, time flies so fast.
I know.
And our time is coming to an end. And I know that as you've been hearing this conversation, I know it is touching you in a profound way. You don't hear the words that you're hearing today in very many spaces. These topics we don't talk about.
Right.
And so I know that as you're hearing and listening today, that you are being blessed with the message here from our maestra, Reyna Toledo. We're coming to the end here, but before we close, you shared a little bit of not giving up curiosity.
Mhm.
And I love that word. I'm personally very curious, and sometimes I get in trouble because of my curiosity, right? My partner calls me the squirrel because I go all over the place. But that part is so important, right? But what other, as you think and want to leave consejos, okay? Thinking about all the generations, intergenerationally, what consejo would you leave us with today?
Well, my second ingredient, or my second thing that I really like, I'm going to stay with the C's, right? Compassion.
Mm.
The
Mm.
compassion, the compassionate being, the compassionate journey of finding our own internal compassion and our own description, right? Description, definition. Why I say compassion is because elements of some of us in our intergenerational healing, intergenerational trauma healing, we understand that, there's an element of a needing to forgive, of transmutation, of releasing, acknowledging the ties, the agreements, the contracts, the vows, all the things that we said, okay, I can handle this. I saw my parents when I was a star being, and I checked them out and I was like, yeah, they're perfect. They're perfect. Why? Because they're going to be the vehicle. They're going to hold that space that I'm going to learn something that I could either like ascend or descend. But we get to choose at some point where we decide that, you know what? I just need to rise up, you know? This can either support my development or it can just really hurt me and I could decide to go some other direction. And then choosing, right? And then choosing and making the decision of forgiveness, of allowing yourself to be forgiven because it's a mutual relationship, it's a mutual exchange and we're human. So that's the whole thing. We're human. We're here experimenting. And that's what makes us curious and want to dance and sing. And then, of course, we get to difficult moments. And what do? We have to figure out how do we get back into the harmony, that vibration where we're in the center, still continuing to do our work in harmony, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, allowing ourselves to learn about compassion in that way and choosing. I want to smell the roses again. I want to smell the aroma again. I want to love again, even though maybe my heart has been broken once, twice. I want to love again. And so that's the space of I forgive myself, I forgive you. I liberate you, I liberate myself. I love myself, I love you. The teaching from the Hawaiian people. Blessings to them, by the way. I know that there's some things going on right now in the nation of the Hawaiian land. So acknowledging those teachings. I think that's basically what I want to leave, the essence of genuine forgiveness for ourselves and others and bringing forth the choice of compassion.
Wow. Comadre, I don't know how you're feeling, but man, this has been a wonderful conversation, huh?
Yes, yes. I'm so honored. It's what a blessing. God bless you, Maestra. Mhm.
A ustedes por la oportunidad de platicar, como se dice, my need to be seen, to be heard by you. Sometimes maybe we don't get that chance, right? Maybe we're too shy, maybe we want to leave space for others. And I thank you for the opportunity to be heard, to be known for my journey and to maybe expand your journey or maybe bring some comfort to your journey. And if anything, I send blessings of divine intelligence to your waters, to your spark in your soul, to your extensions of the loved ones that you have. I send you with blessings like that to you both and to everybody that maybe is at home in their spaces and all the relations that make this possible. Emilio, thank you. Maestro, Jerry, thank you. Namaste.
Oh, Mateo. Well, I told you you would not be disappointed. And I know that as you're listening today, that your heartstrings are being tugged at, right? And this program is all about healing generations. And as you have heard the maestra today, the importance of love and compassion, of hope, of miracles, of forgiveness. These really are the gifts to help us in our healing journey. And you might be facing something very difficult out there today. But I do know this, that when we surrender our hearts to that process and embrace the love that is given by Creator, the ancestors, the beings all around us, we give ourselves the opportunity to heal, to go through life in a different way. And I know that that's what we all want. And I just want to say, even though you might think today that there's no solution to whatever it is you're going through, trust me, we have all said those words before. And we're still here. And we know that faith in that is greater than us will never fail us. And so thank you. Thank you again for joining us today. Thank you to the National Compadres Network for giving us this platform to be able to host through the National Compadres Network this once a month podcast where we can share voices of other women that are doing their life in ways that are inspirational to each one of us. And so with that, this is Debra Camarillo signing off here in a lonely territory up in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And my comadre, you're down
here in the Tongva Gabrielino land of Los Angeles, East LA, California, and feeling so honored and so blessed. And Maestra Reyna, hermana, comadre, you know, my favorite song you always sing, Because I Love You So Much, So Much. Adelante con mucho amor and compassion.
And thank you so much for giving of yourself today, Maestra Reyna Toledo. We appreciate you. We love you. And, you're in our prayers. And we ask Creator, the ancestors, to keep you safe as you go and share your medicine all over this world, that your footsteps be ordained there. And that you continue to bring light and love to those that come across your path. And Emilio, thank you so much. We appreciate Emilio on the back end there with all the technology hosting this podcast. And we thank you for joining us today with Healing Generations podcast.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.